The Grind, a Minnesota sports podcast.
Do the Minnesota Vikings have a wide receiver 2 problem as their first NFL preseason game is roughly 24 hours away? And the Minnesota Vikings 10th overall pick of the 2024 NFL draft resumes his playing career tomorrow as the starting quarterback for the Vikings. There ain't no QB competition. He is QB1. JJ McCarthy expectations as the Vikings' first preseason game is about to kick off in roughly 1 day. We're going to talk about all that on today's show. But first, I need you to check out 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis because they transformed our bathroom in 48 hours, and that's their promise. From new floors to a new bathtub, new shower, surround. They got rid of our mold. We got new countertops, vanity, mirror, and our favorite feature. We went from a single sink to a double sink. All of this was done in 48 hours by 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. Contact them today if you want your bathroom remodeled. Affordable payment plans, free consultations. You've got nothing to lose. Contact 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis and get your bathroom remodeled today. All right, let's start with JJ McCarthy because I've been vocal about the fact that I think it is the wrong decision to play McCarthy in the preseason. I believe with my entire heart that the risk of him playing 2 series is not worth the reward of McCarthy playing in 2 series. I understand the idea about in-game reps and getting him as many reps as possible since he missed an entire season last year, not of only in-game reps, but practice reps as well, being the backup quarterback to Sam Darnold. But where I have an issue with him playing in the preseason is, let's say he gets 2 series in the first preseason game against the Houston Texans. You don't think he could make up 2 series on Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears? You're going to risk McCarthy getting injured in a preseason game? Take a look at what happened to Anthony Richardson last night. It appears that Richardson will be fine and he will be okay, and he's listed as day-to-day. But that injury could have been a lot worse than what the result ended up being. So I don't understand why the Vikings are putting McCarthy in a spot to potentially get injured. And you've done so much to build this roster. And now you're going to throw him out there against backups, Houston Texans backups that actually have more to play for than starters. A backup playing preseason is most likely going to play harder than a starter playing in the preseason because they have more to play for. They're fighting for positions. They're fighting for spots. And now you're risking McCarthy to injury. But as far as expectations go, with McCarthy playing against backups and with them playing harder than the starters, it does not mean they're better than the starters. Let's make that clear. Just because they're playing harder than the starters, it does not mean they are still better than the starters, because they're not. They're backups for a reason. And the Houston Texans have been very clear that they are not playing anybody of significance in this preseason game, which means if McCarthy goes out there and performs poorly, then there will be some things to be concerned about. There will be some things that leave us scratching our head. And last year, McCarthy played well against the Raiders in his first preseason game. He hit that bomb. He threw some nice balls to Jalen Naylor. He threw a nice cross route. He did have an interception, but that interception was not a big deal. So many people make things much bigger about interceptions than they need to be. It was a 3rd and 7, And if it was an incomplete pass, the Vikings were punting the ball regardless. And he did not turn the ball over in the red zone. He did not turn the ball over in his own territory. It was as good an interception as you could ever have. A 3rd and 7, he threw it. The guy picked it off at about the 40-yard line. Big deal. It's almost a punt. An interception doesn't really matter. That kind of interception doesn't really matter. But as far as expectations go, McCarthy should play well because they are playing against backup players for the most part. And if he doesn't play well, then there should be room to have some concern there. And he's kind of in a lose-lose situation. It's kind of like playing 1-on-1 or 5-on-5 and you're matched up against a girl. You block her shot and people question your integrity. Why are you blocking her shot? You let her score and people question your ability. Why are you letting her score? She's taking over the game. That's kind of the position that JJ McCarthy is in for the Vikings' first preseason game. If he plays well, you should have. And if he doesn't play well, it's like, well, you're playing against backup players against the Houston Texans. What's wrong with you? So it's kind of like a man matching up with a woman in 5-on-5 basketball. She shouldn't score, but if she does, what's wrong with you? If you stop her from scoring, what's wrong with you? So it's really not that much of a win-win for McCarthy. If he plays great, awesome. He did against backups. He should. If he plays poorly, you're against backups. What's going on here? So it'll be interesting and fascinating to watch because he is the Vikings QB1 for the rest of the season, and there really is no debate. And he is the franchise quarterback for the Vikings that they believe in and pass over Daniel Joneses and the Sam Darnolds and Aaron Rodgers for. The Vikings picked McCarthy over Darnold, Rodgers, and Jones. And if he doesn't go out there and prove that he is worthy of being better than all three of those other options, then the Minnesota Vikings organization might live in regret. All right, let's talk about Jalen Naylor and the Vikings wide receiver 2 problem. The Vikings are going to be without Jordan Addison for the first 3 games of the regular season. And before I do this, let me tell you about Hoagland Farms. They have the best beef around. 100% rotationally grazed, 100% grass-fed beef. Hoagland Farm beef is the best. You go to Walmart and you try to pick out a steak, it's like $9, $10 a pound. I just got my Hoagland Farms beef for just over $4 a pound. Chuck roast, beefs, briskets, hamburger, steaks, all for right around $4 a pound at Hoagland Farms beef. 952-491-1541. Contact Jared at 952-491-1541. Tell Jared Tim sent you, and he'll give you a little discount on your first order. 952-491-1541. The Purple Persuasion took this screen grab from Will Raggets, and Will Raggets had this report. It says 2 of McCarthy's first 3 passes in 7-on-7 action fell incomplete. The first was a drop by Jalen Naylor, which is starting to become a concern again. Notably, Naylor was wearing a red no-contact jersey, which you typically only see quarterbacks wearing. The next was a near interception by Blake Cashman, who jumped in front of Josh Oliver and almost picked off McCarthy for the second straight day. The story, that is a story because of Jordan Addison's suspension, has been the notable drops and the amount of them from Jalen Naylor in Vikings training camp. And I'm not concerned about it. And here's why. Yes, he is wide receiver 2, but he is an option 2. Yes, he will run routes as a wide receiver 2, but not really. TJ Hockenson will be healthy by week 1. And last year, TJ Hockenson wasn't playing until like week 6 or week 7. So the Minnesota Vikings have another option other than Justin Jefferson and Jalen Naylor, which they really only had for the first 3 weeks of last season because Jordan Addison was hurt last year. So, yes, Jalen Naylor's drops have been notable, and he did have a drop last year against the Los Angeles Rams in a big spot, 3rd and 4, with the Vikings down by 4 in the fourth quarter. Wide open, no defense near him, dropped pass. But he doesn't have the responsibility to be wide receiver 2 because the Vikings have TJ Hockenson healthy or will be healthy by week 1. And he will be the second target. There might be some concern that without Jordan Addison that people are going to throw another defender towards Justin Jefferson's side. There's already 2 or 3 guys towards his side. So they're not going to throw another one his direction. And I still have belief in Jalen Naylor because you look at his first few games of the season last year, and he was spectacular for the Vikings. Versus the Giants, he had 1 catch for 21 yards and a touchdown. Versus San Fran, he had 3 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. Versus the Houston Texans, he had 3 catches for 31 yards and a touchdown. You don't need Naylor to catch for 100 yards per game. You need him to have an occasional catch on 2nd or 3rd down to move the chains. He doesn't need to fill the shoes of Jordan Addison because the Vikings have Justin Jefferson and they have TJ Hockenson and they have a running game that's going to be more effective because of the players and because of the offensive line that they added to this season. So, although the Vikings are without Addison and are much better with Addison, scoring points and moving the ball should be no issue because of the depth that they have offensively and because of the health of TJ Hockenson, which they did not have at the beginning of the season last year. And Kevin Seifert also mentioned a tweet about the Jalen Naylor red shirt thing. It says, Vikings receiver Jalen Naylor wore a red no-contact jersey Thursday during practice, rare for a non-QB. My understanding, there is no specific injury, just preserving depth at a position where Justin Jefferson hamstring has been out and Jordan Addison has a 3-game suspension. It seems like the Vikings are taking all protocol to make sure that another receiver doesn't go down. Because if that does happen, then you are very thin at that position. If Naylor goes down, I don't know who steps up after that. But right now, the Vikings have Jefferson, Naylor, Hockenson, and if someone went down again, then the Vikings would be forced to trade for an Adam Thielen or sign a guy via free agency. But right now, there's no concern offensively. And if the Vikings don't score, it's not because of Jordan Addison not being on the field. It's for many other reasons, maybe even including JJ McCarthy. Thank you for joining the show today. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, hit that like button, and remember to check out 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis and Hoagland Farms Beef, 952-491-1541.